Today, we're going to go behind the scenes, deep inside a corporate safety document. Now, I know what you might be thinking. A safety document sounds thrilling, right? But what we're really doing is exploring the architecture of safety itself, how a massive company literally builds a fortress to protect its people from dangers they can't even see. So, let's take a look at the blueprint for that fortress.
See, it all boils down to this one fundamental question. We're not talking about the obvious stuff, like a heavy object falling. We're talking about gases, corrosive liquids, flammable materials, threats that can be totally silent and unseen until it's way too late. So how on earth do you build a system to manage that?
And this is why it matters so much. This is the official definition from the PANOS standard we're looking at. Just let that sink in for a second. Permanent, disabling injuries and fatalities. The stakes could not be higher. This one sentence is the foundation for every single procedure, every piece of gear, and every training session that follows. Okay, so to counter that level of risk, you can't just wing it. You need a master plan. And this document, the Hazardous Materials Safety Standard, is exactly that. It's the detailed blueprint for the whole fortress of safety. The real magic here, the thing that makes this whole system work, is that it's systematic. It's not about luck. It's not about hoping for the best. It's about creating this meticulous, repeatable system that covers absolutely everything, from the second a material arrives on site, through its transport, handling, storage, all the way to its final disposal. And what this timeline shows you is that this blueprint isn't just carved in stone and forgotten. A fortress against constantly evolving threats can't be. This is a living, breathing document. It's constantly being updated to include new knowledge, stuff like changing regulations, new scientific discoveries, or even the hard lessons learned from an incident halfway across the globe. All right, now we get to the first layer of defense, intelligence. Before you can even think about building walls, you have to understand exactly what you're up against. This first phase is all about identifying and understanding every single potential threat.
And at the heart of all this intelligence gathering is a super powerful three-step process. As you can see, step 1 is to identify every hazard you can think of. Then step 2 is to evaluate the actual risks that come with it. And finally, step 3, you record everything meticulously in a risk register. This is the bedrock of the whole system.
So what exactly gets identified? Well, think of it like they're creating a detailed profile for every single substance. They're not just asking, is this dangerous? They're asking, okay, how is it dangerous? They look at its properties, and this is critical, how it might behave when things go wrong. Every single item on that checklist helps build a complete threat profile. So, how does all this high-level intelligence actually get to the person on the ground doing the job? That's where a tool called the Job Safety Analysis, or JSA, comes into play. You can think of it like a mission briefing. If a task is new, or if conditions change, a JSA is required to break down every step, spot the risks, and define exactly what needs to be done to stay safe. Okay, so once you know the enemy, it's time to build the walls. This next layer of our fortress is all about the physical and procedural barriers that are designed to contain all those threats we just identified. And the very first line of defense isn't a wall, it's communication. Every single hazardous material has to have a safety data sheet, or an SDS. This is basically the official user manual for that substance, and it has to be available to everyone, from the people handling it to the emergency services who might have to show up. This one document is just a powerhouse of critical info. It's the cheat sheet for survival. It tells you not just what the substance is, but its specific dangers, the exact gear you need to handle it, and precisely what to do in the first 30 seconds if things go sideways. Information is vital, but what happens when the physical world fails? I mean, what happens when a tank, a pipe, or a container just breaks? This is where the engineered defenses become absolutely crucial. 110%. This number is just a perfect example of engineered safety. The standard says that any secondary containment system, like a concrete wall around a storage tank, has to be designed to hold 110% of the volume of the largest single container inside it. It's a built-in safety margin, just in case. And that's what we call containment. It's the moat around the castle. If that primary container, the first wall, is breached, this secondary system is there to catch everything. It stops a small leak from turning into a massive environmental or safety disaster. And check this out. Here's another brilliant layer of defense: fail-safe design. The system just assumes that failure, like a power outage, is going to happen eventually. So critical equipment is actually designed to automatically go to a safe state when the power cuts out. A valve with a corrosive chemical, for example, doesn't stay open. It automatically slams shut. Safety becomes the default, not an afterthought.
But you can have the best designed fortress in the world, with the thickest walls and the deepest moats, and it's all completely useless without the final and honestly the most important layer, the people who guard it. And that really is the bottom line. Procedures and equipment are not enough. This entire system relies on the expertise, the judgment, and the training of the people operating inside it. This is the human element, and there's just no substitute for it.
The standard is also very clear on what competent actually means. It's not just about, attending a one-day course. It's the specific combination of training, formal education, and hands-on experience that gives someone the proven knowledge and skills to do the job right and to do it safely.
And this table here lays out the chain of accountability just perfectly. It's defined from the very top, the group general counsel gives the final sign-off, all the way down to every single person on site, whose responsibility is stated simply and clearly, to comply with the requirements. There's no gray area, no ambiguity.
So when we put it all together, what we see is this multi-layered interlocking system. It starts with intelligence, knowing the risks. That's backed up by strong defenses, the physical barriers. And the whole thing is operated by empowered people, trained, competent, and totally accountable.
And finally, the whole system is designed to learn from itself. This mandatory 3-year review makes sure the fortress's defenses never get outdated. It takes what's learned from audits, from near misses, and even from incidents to constantly strengthen the system against whatever threats are coming next.
So, we've just dissected one company's shield against all these invisible dangers. It kind of leaves you with a final thought, doesn't it? What are the unseen blueprints, the invisible standards, and the silent systems of safety that are protecting you in your daily life right at this very moment?